Congratulations, you finally made it to your interview. So the interview specifically for green card requests based on a family member sponsorship is usually the culmination of potentially years, decades of waiting. But since we got your filing and we sent it to immigration, it's probably been about a year, okay? So could be quicker, could be shorter, but that's roughly what it is, okay? So the interview is scheduled in your local regional office, okay? In Michigan, it's in Detroit. Every state has their office somewhere else. Illinois, yeah, it's in Chicago. So you get the idea. At the top of your interview notice, it will tell you the application that you're going to be interviewed on. If it's a green card request, it's the I-485 application to register permanent residence or to adjust status, okay? So that information is all at the top. It tells the notice date, it tells your A number, all the information you have that tracks your case, okay? Then it goes down and it tells you, they always give you a warning. Failure to appear for a scheduled appointment without prior notification and without good cause may result in the denial of your application. They mean that quite literally. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do, if you don't show up, you're going to get denied. And you got to start from scratch. The good thing is with a green card, you can file a green card request as many times as you need to. My advice is to do it right the first time, okay? Because you don't want to be spending money and time and exposing yourself to additional problems, additional scrutiny from the government. So you want to do it right the first time, which is why you came to me, because I do it right the first time. And if something comes up, I can help fix it, okay? So again, the interview, if we're talking about spouse, okay, spouse-based request, there's a number of things that the government asks you to bring with you. And the notice tells you what that is. So let's look at the notice. You must bring the following items with you, okay? This interview notice, which gives identifying information, all the information for immigration to identify who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, is on this notice. So they say, take that notice with you with a picture ID, government issued ID. So if that's a passport, great. If it's a work permit, that's great. A driver's license will work. So you just have to have an official ID card that was issued by the government that has your picture and your basic information, okay? That is critical because they will not let you, well, they'll let you into the building, but you're not going to stay for very long if you don't have that information, okay? So if you're in Detroit, well, really, any of these regional offices, people go in, they check in with this notice and with their picture ID, and the government will say, okay, go ahead and sit in the waiting area. We're going to send an agent out to you when it's your turn, okay? We're still operating under COVID protocols, which means you can't get there too early, okay? You get there no more than 20 minutes before your scheduled time. You check in, you go through the metal detectors, and then you sit and wait. Because we're still under COVID protocols, typically speaking, these interviews are conducted fairly quickly, so you're not sitting around, a lobby with a lot of people, exposing them to potentially horrific things like COVID, okay? So it does go fairly quickly, but that's not always the case. So the bottom line is you get in there before your designated time and you wait, okay? That's just the way it is. I will say that most of the time I tell people, when you're going to your interviews and you're dealing with the different regional office, they usually are very respectful. They're all business. So if your case was one that had issues in the past, expect the government to be a little bit more critical of you, and consequently a little less patient. For everyone else, it really is not a big deal. It is very quick and easy. Meaning the government shows you respect and you don't have to be defensive or worry about them, creating problems for you, okay? So again, take the notice, you check in. The second thing they say on here is, if required, include or bring a completed Form I-693. That's your medical exam, okay? So immigration has changed many different ways of how they've done this. Current protocol is you submit that stuff with your filing. They're not gonna give you any time to do it afterwards. The awesome thing is, the reason back and forth on whether you do it or don't do it is because immigration would make it expire, and they wouldn't honor your medical exam if it was more than a few months old. Okay. Well, now I think they've extended. They're gonna keep all these medical exams valid forever. Okay, so you don't have to keep spending $1,000 on retake tests. They're good for life, or that's what they're saying now. They probably will change that, but for now, your medical exam that you submitted with the filing, you don't need to bring another copy, because immigration has the only copy that exists that hasn't been opened by you. Okay, so that's the key point to this interview, is that medical exam. They have to have your medical exam in order to move forward with this and to give you your approval. So they put that up there, okay? If required, a completed I-864. That's the financial support stuff. All that information, if you've gone through me, I've already submitted all that stuff. So immigration has all that information. You don't necessarily have to take one with you, but I always tell people, if it makes you feel more comfortable, you don't have to worry about it, take everything with you. So I always give my clients a complete set of their filing. You can have it in electronic form, or you can print it out and take it with you, okay? So that you have to show that you have the financial backing in order to move forward, okay? Immigration also asks for you to provide updated tax returns if it's in that weird time of the year where you've got a recent W-2 and tax forms that you have to file. Immigration is going to want you to bring the updated recent year tax returns with you. So take that with you if you haven't already provided it to the government, okay? So again, W-2s, things like that, it's already been provided. There's a lot of different things that can come up based on how you've applied for things, including support documents from current employers, etc. Talk to your attorney or to me if that applies to your situation, because the government definitely wants to know that you're legit and that you are going to be supported by your sponsor, and you're not going to, rely on the public or the taxpayer, okay? All documentation establishing your eligibility for lawful permanent resident status. That's the same thing. All the documents that's already been submitted, that's what they're saying there. They want to make sure that, they say it like 5 different times, 5 different ways. Everything that allows them to make the decision is what they want, okay? Any immigration-related documentation ever issued to you, including any I-766, which is your employment authorization, advanced parole, refugee travel documents, they want to make sure that you have all that with you so they can inspect it, okay? So take that with you. The next is pretty key. The I-94, your entry or departure record, okay? Government needs to know that you entered the country legally and that you retain your status legally. That would then allow you to adjust your status to a legal permanent resident, okay? If you've overstayed your visa, you're probably going to have trouble. And we've already talked about that if that applies to your situation. But they want you to take that I-94. Again, in all my clients, I include that in with the filing so you don't have to worry about it. But the government definitely wants that, okay? So your birth certificate. And when they say that, they don't say your original birth certificate. They just say birth certificate. Well, they don't mean a copy in this context. Everything up to this point has been copies, photocopies. This now is where you take every original for the government issued documents, okay? Birth certificates, marriage certificates, passports, things like that have to be the original so the government can inspect them and make sure that they weren't fabricated in your basement, okay? So make sure you take that. If your Form I-485 is based on a petition filed by a family member, your petitioner's birth certificate, and your petitioner's evidence of United States citizenship or lawful permanent residency status. That's big. That was only added within the last year or so, okay? Where they absolutely make sure that your sponsor's birth certificate, the original, is included in the filing or taken with you at the time of the interview. Really, it's at the interview, because if you send it in the mail, they'll just mail it back to you, okay? But you've got to take that so they know that your sponsor is legit and they're not committing fraud, okay? If you have children, bring birth certificates for each one of them. Again, they want to verify that this is spouse-based immigration, that your sponsor is your spouse, and you can prove that you have a legitimate relationship, a bona fide relationship. So if you have kids together, you're taking those original birth certificates to prove that to the government, okay? Next is, if your eligibility is based on your marriage, in addition to your spouse coming to the interview, key, they have to be there, okay? Bring a copy of the marriage document, spouse's birth certificate, everything that I already mentioned. You got to take the originals with you. If you've been married, this is key, okay? Some people forget this. If you previously were married and you got divorced, you've got to take the original divorce document with you. If your previous relationship ended in death of your prior spouse, take the death certificate, okay? This says birth certificates of all children of this marriage. Yeah, we already said that. Custody papers, things like that. Everything that shows that you are together, you're bona fide, and you have all that stuff. They also give a whole list of other things that will help them make the decision. Photos of you guys together, bank statements, joint tax documents, everything that shows your bona fide relationship. Again, if I helped you with this stuff, I've already explained this to you, and I've already provided you all that information. If you have updated documents, take that with you. If you bought a car together, or if you switched housing, you bought a house, or you live in a different apartment, take that information with you to show the government that you still have a bona fide relationship with your sponsor, okay? Originals and copies of each supporting document that you submitted with your application. So that's everything I just mentioned. If you have ever been arrested, bring the related police report and original or certified final court disposition for each arrest, even if the charges have been dismissed or expunged. If no court record exists, bring a letter from the court saying that it doesn't exist. Again, this is a newer change too. They used to not ask for that stuff. They would wait for you to go through the background check, and then they would submit a request for evidence of you if you had any sort of criminal record. Now they make you provide it ahead of time, okay? Really, it makes sense. It saves them time and effort. So make sure that you're taking that stuff. Got to be certified, okay? Certified record from the court and from the police station is what they're asking for. If any of the documents that previously were mentioned are not in English, you must have a certified English translation of everything, okay? They don't interpret stuff, even if they're fluent in another language, they will not accept it. You got to take a translation, okay? For asylum and refugee applicants, we do not require some of the items listed above. Please refer to the instructions. Again, I've helped you with this. I've told you what you need. But know that it's a slightly different for refugees and asylees than it is for the spouse or the children, parent, family-based petitions, okay? So again, when you go there, be cool, man. Don't sweat it. You're going to be nervous, but guess what? Everyone's nervous. When they go to talk to the government, everyone's nervous. That's normal. Just embrace that. If immigration asks you, oh, you're a little nervous about this? Yeah, darn right I am, okay? Be honest with it. Don't let them get under your skin or freak you out, okay? It's a totally normal thing. And they're expecting you to have a little bit of nervousness. If you're not, that's kind of a red flag, I think. Immigration will look at you like, okay, you've super rehearsed this. Why do you rehearse so hard? Is it because you have a bunch of fake stuff that you need to make sure that you remember? Keep that in mind. They want a natural interview from you. They don't want you to be someone who's like super polished and is like a robot, okay? Because that's just weird. So be natural and understand that things change. And if you're there, the agents ask you difficult questions, an acceptable answer is, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I can get you the answer, right? Or I don't have that information, or you know what, I can look into it, or something like that. They're not expecting perfection. They're just expecting that you are natural and normal with your responses and with your information. If you've hired me to do this, you're not going to have to worry about much, because I tell you what, more times than not, I've had immigration tell my clients, tell your attorney he did a really good job. Everything's here. It was exactly the way we like it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because preparation is everything. And if I'm the one who's helping you, which if you're watching this video, that means I was, then you're in a very good position to get your approval. You're not going to have to worry about anything. But things happen. Things come up. Immigration asks questions that sometimes clients don't share everything with me. So sometimes something comes up that's unexpected. Well, more often than not, immigration will give you a chance to fix things, okay? So they'll ask you, hey, did this happen? Or, hey, what's up with that? You didn't do this, or there's 1,000 different examples. And you say, ooh, yeah, you know what? I might have to talk to my lawyer about that. Okay, no problem. We'll give you a list of the documents we need so you can talk to your lawyer and you can follow back up with us. Give us the information so that we can make a decision, because we definitely can't make a decision today until we get that information. Totally normal. It happens. It happens more often than I care to acknowledge. But you know what? Not everything is perfect. There's things that happen that we can't predict, but we can sure correct things and we can supplement things and we can fix it. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. It's very common for this to happen, whether it's a criminal thing, whether it's a tax thing, whether it's a custody thing. There's so many different things that can come up, okay? So don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. If it happens, you're reaching out to me. As you're driving home from your interview, you're reaching out to us and you're saying, hey, Attorney Marvin, this is what happened. This is what they said. And they're going to send me the stuff in the mail so I can send that information to them. Not a problem. It happens. We can still succeed. I've had very few denials of any of these things. If it wasn't related to someone lying to me and misrepresenting, I've never had a denial, okay? Again, I don't say that to brag. I just say that to tell you that there is a very specific way these work, and I've done it so many times. And unless something is completely out of the ordinary, you're going to be fine. So don't worry about it. If you have questions, I always tell my clients, give us a call, man. If your appointment is in a week and you have questions between now and then, call us 5, 6, 7 times, whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable and to know that you are ready for the interview. That's what you need to do. Give us a call. I want to help you succeed.